Peace and love, everybody. It's Yourbrozo here, and tonight I got my man Jesse Baker here. Knowing this joking for how long, Jesse? God dang, uh,
Oh,
uh, at least
early 90s, so 30 years,
yeah,
almost 30 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's almost 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Known each other for a while, man, and had some interesting encounters, right? throughout the years. You know what I'm saying? And very happy to have this good cat on the line because yeah, man. Well, we're gonna get into it. But first off, if y'all haven't already, please pick up a copy of my book. My man Jesse got it, and we were just talking about that. Bicultural living and leaving the world of illusions. You can get on my website, yourbrozo.com. Also, of course, follow me. You know what I'm saying I'm on all the formats: IG, Clubhouse, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And again, before I go into things, this podcast really is set up for the ones that are here living now, in this third dimension for now, that get it. You know what I mean? They get it. They understand, how to treat people. They understand how to, be proud of their culture. Whatever the case may be. They don't look down on others. They don't treat people wrong. They get it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what this podcast, the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast, is about. The ones that get it and ones that want to learn and grow. So, anywho, so like I said, I've been knowing Justin for close to 30 years. He was good friends with my little brother, and see, people that read my book, when I had on a chapter, I talked about like how I got into hardcore music, and literally Jesse was there for my first band, and a lot of our practices is the inception of it all. You know what I'm saying? He saw it. He was like, you know, it was he was there for that. I mean, he goes back. We go back. Um, that's enough of that, Jesse. If you would kind of talk, tell them the people who you are, what you done, et cetera, et cetera, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm Jesse Baker. Me and your bro Zoe, we kind of grew up in Richmond together. Uh, Started going to shows, hanging out, skateboarding, listening to hip hop, all that jazz back in the mid early 90s. I went into the Navy. I think you went to Atlanta late 90s, and that's where we kind of separated
Hmm.
a little bit. We didn't have cell phones back. I didn't have a cell phone back then. I didn't have that kind of money. But anyways, yeah. So I joined the Navy, trying to get out of Virginia, trying to escape. Ended up in Virginia, in the Navy, and that's where I got to kind of see the world. Was fortunate enough to get out of the Navy and get linked up with the department I work with now, the fire department, Navy region, and I've been doing that for the last 18 years. Just a blue collar worker, just a blue collar guy living the normal American life, American dream. That about sums it up in about a minute. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Then. That's a good summary, man. Now we were just talking off camera because we were talking about Mark and how he went to the our friend Mark, we do we know, yeah, Mark England, and he went to the Philippines and he lived over there. I played football with Mark when I was like 10 years old, 11 years. I was probably 11, 12 years old, and so we used to wrestle in high school and all that stuff. Um, he went to the Philippines, and pretty much when he came back, his whole life experience changed. You know, because of he told me, pretty much because of his traveling experience, and we had a similar conversation. Well, my question to you is like, um, as far as the experience goes, as far as leaving Richmond, just like I did, going to London and
yeah.
all this place, how much life experience did you learn from getting out of Richmond and just traveling and seeing the world?
Oh man, joining the Navy was probably the best thing I could do, so I didn't end up in jail, as you probably know. Um, but culturally, I was just introduced to so many different people from all over the country, and I was fortunate enough to go with these people all overseas, different places. I mean, I went on 3 different deployments, so I saw a lot of the world. So it really just kind of opened my eyes up to how fortunate we are to live in America. I know nothing's perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. You're never going to hear me say it's perfect. But as far as money goes, like how much more, how nicer the country in general is compared to a lot of places I've went. But I saw a lot of beautiful places. A lot of places have beautiful places and cultural experiences that I would have never got to experience if I've never left Richmond. So I was so fortunate to get out of Richmond probably when I did.
I know I can. So like, where did you go? Like, tell me like some of the different places that you
Okay, so
you know,
before I even
before I
joined,
go forward,
yeah,
before I go forward, before I go forward, it's interesting how a lot of us that left Richmond, we all have that same sentiment. But go ahead.
yeah, um,
Not hating on Richmond now because I grew up
yeah.
there,
Well,
but you know,
yeah, I married a girl from Richmond, and she said I'll go anywhere in the world with you, but back to Richmond. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with Richmond. It's just that it's not for me. I'll visit, but that's the extent of it for me. Um,
I
it's a cool
yeah,
place. I do like it, but it's not for me anymore.
it was my incubator. That's why I tell people all the time. It was
Oh
my
yeah,
incubator.
I mean, I really appreciate the times I
Yeah.
had with you and James and
Hmm.
different folks out there, and I learned a lot. So like, I don't know, like that helped shape who I am today. So, anyways, but one of the
Hmm.
first places I went, like yourself, before I even joined the Navy, is I used to work construction, and I saved some money, and I went to London and Liverpool, and I was over there for like 10, 12
Hmm.
days before I even went off to the Navy. I think I was in
Mm.
delayed entry program at the time, and just over there, I couldn't, like, when I got to Liverpool, I couldn't even understand how they were speaking English, and I was speaking English. I just culturally, the slang was different, and the the how they wore their
Yeah.
clothes, and they were making fun of me because I had a flannel shirt on, calling me a lumberjack, and that was my first experience being overseas at 18 years old, so it was definitely pretty funny, so for a long time I
Yeah.
didn't
So
drink
like,
or do any drugs or anything. That's the first place I had a beer for was
are
in
you straight edge,
London.
right? You straight edge,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I was straight edge for years. Yeah, for years.
Yeah, you straight edge. Yeah, that's right. For
Yeah,
years. Yep.
I got in some trouble as a youngster, and then I got away from that kind of stuff, that kind of nonsense.
Mhm.
Hanging out with James and
Right in
stuff.
time, man. You got out right in time, right?
Yeah, I got out right in time. I feel like, because I was already in a
Yeah.
little bit of trouble when I was fortunate enough to link up and get into the Navy. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I remember that actually.
actually,
but
that's my first.
yeah. So
That's
like I said, so
that was my first
go ahead.
experience with the police department, where I didn't.
Mm,
I mean, they were very aggressive with me over some bullshit, and like face
yeah,
down in the concrete,
yeah.
knee on the back of the neck, handcuffs in the
Hmm.
car. Luckily, I was with some
I
people
remember
from
that.
crew. We were crewed up a little bit, and we had some people with us, and they kind of got. It almost looked like a scene from a movie. We got around the police car, and everyone was like, "Yo, that's bullshit. That's bullshit." I was on probation. I was like, "I'm going to jail. This is it. I'm done." You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, it's a
luckily they let
wrap.
me go, and shortly after, away I went to see the world, far, far away from Richmond.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
where did you go? Where did you go? Where's some of the places you went?
The first place I went was to Chicago. I've never been to Chicago before. I got to in the Navy we
Hmm.
call it Great Mistakes, aka Great Lakes. So once I finished up
Hmm.
my boot camp and A school, I got to visit Chicago. Funny story. I was with another guy. We're in our whites, and we got stuck up. I walked off from the guy. The guy pulled up his shirt, and he was like, "Hey, give me $20." I was like, "Whatever, man," and just walked away while the other guy got stuck up. So that was an experience I had in Chicago, but I did like Chicago. Other than that, it was interesting, but
Hmm.
Chicago was good. Once I left boot camp and I went home for 2 weeks, and then when I left boot camp, they said, "Hey, you have orders. Your ship's going overseas." So the first place I went was Sicily. I went to Malta and Sicily, and I met up with my ship. Sicily's beautiful. I like Sicily a lot, especially because I was able to see not just Sigonella, the base. I was able to see a little bit of outside of Sigonella, eat some Italian food, drink some wine. So that's the first place I went. After that, I headed to. I might got this mixed up. I went to Israel, and then we went to Turkey after that. So, or it's vice versa, both, which was very interesting to me because at the time in the late '90s, I didn't realize that Turkey was a Muslim country. So, never being exposed to Muslims,
Mhm.
besides a few
Mhm.
Nation of Islam people that sold the magazines in Richmond, I've never been exposed to Muslims, and
Mhm.
Turkey is a Muslim country, and I had no idea. So
Mhm.
it was a little bit enlightening to
Mhm.
me to realize that how religious
Mhm.
places were, even though it's a NATO-friendly country.
Mhm.
So that was a eye awakening, and all these places have a little bit of different foods and culture. So I didn't get to see a lot of Israel, which was a mistake as a young man that I made. But you know, uh,
Mhm.
I got to see a little bit of Turkey because we ended up going back to Turkey in a different time to help render aid after they had a horrible earthquake. We did a humanity aid project off my ship, and I was able to go inland away from like some of the city areas and help out and give water and food. And it's funny because when you go to these places, I'm
Mhm.
obviously an American. There's no, even when I went to England, they
Mhm.
distinctively know my haircut, everything, that you're
Oh
American.
yeah.
You're not.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's funny because some people want your money, so they're nicer to you, and then other people kind of, you get a little bit of that. You can tell you're being watched, or
Mhm.
you're not as welcome. But when we
Yeah. Yeah.
came
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
aid
Yeah.
in Turkey, we were welcome.
That backlash.
Um, yeah. So from there, man, I've been so many
I
places.
remember. I remember. Oh, okay.
Of course, I've been
Go
to
ahead.
one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to was Ibiza, Spain. As a young man, they had all the like techno clubs and the bubbles, and so that was awesome. Beaches were great. Ibiza, Spain was beautiful. Loved it. Where else did we go? We obviously went to Rota, Spain. I'm thinking about my first deployment, like where I went.
Mhm.
So I spent a lot of time out to
Mhm.
sea because that was during Kosovo. I don't know if some people remember that, but that was in the late late '90s.
Mhm.
We dealt with an issue where we dropped troops off in Turkey and sent them on their way. So um, that was my first deployment. I've been to Puerto Rico. I've been to several of the islands. I went to St. Croix, St. Thomas. Back to Puerto Rico, which was nice. I've been to Colombia. I've been to Panama, which I love. The food in Panama and the culture in Panama, very awesome. Going through the Panama Canal was something cool too. I've been to Ecuador. I've been to Peru, Lima, Peru. That's when 9/11 happened, when I was in Peru. Uh,
Mhm.
After that, I've traveled to Chile. I didn't get to see much of Chile. We went around to Argentina. Wasn't allowed to leave the base. We went to Rio de Janeiro. We were going to be able to leave, and they blew up a McDonald's. So where would Americans go? They got off a ship, a military ship. So we pulled into port in Rio de
Mhm.
Janeiro, and then within like 30 or 40 minutes, there was a bomb that blew up. This is right after 9/11 in Rio, at Rio de
Oh, okay.
Janeiro. So we weren't allowed to go inland. So I missed out on an opportunity to see Brazil. But
I I I noticed something that you were just talking about, like even when I was across seas and other places as well. It's like you know, even when you get across seas, when you see Americans like that, it's obvious they're Americans. You know that, but also, as we said before, it's also the atypical Americans. I think we used to call them frat boys. We used to, back in the day, we used
yeah,
to, whatever we used to
yeah,
call them back in the day, make fun of them and stuff. But you see that type of people, but then you see the other ones that are cool and they get it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Which obviously they're there because they've been more culture and they've been traveling around and stuff, as opposed to just being a tourist. You know what I
yes,
mean? So
yes.
I remember this one time I was in London, man, and I was sitting there at a hostel, right? And this dude came in. He was all drunk. You know what I'm saying? He was torn up out of his mind. Atypical frat boy. America. That's like, what I'm saying. And I just remember all the people because they were all Europeans, and they were just looking at him like, this is, and they were saying like this is a Yankee, man. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah,
was like, it's not all of them, but he definitely did not represent. You know what I'm saying? He represented a stereotype, but not the cats that, like I said before, get it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So like you were saying, man, you said nothing's perfect. You know what I mean? As we know in the
yeah,
world and American, etc. And knowing history, you know, and the antiquity of history. See, this is my mindset when I look at certain things, right? It's like if I was a white American in America,
yeah,
I would be 100% in and proud because that's all I know culturally. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might
yes,
be Irish or German,
yeah,
but because of because of not only antiquity of people, but also the antiquity of this country, it's kind of like all what it's all what people have. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's all people here in America. That's all they got.
You know
You know,
what's funny?
that's the only thing that the only national they're doing. Hmm.
I'm going to tell you something that's funny about going to other countries. And everywhere I went, everyone identifies as like, maybe in England they're like, oh, I'm from Liverpool, or I'm from Manchester, or I'm from London.
Hmm.
When I was in every other
Hmm.
country in South America, and even when I was in South Africa, people identified as I'm South African, I'm Peruvian, I'm Panamanian,
Hmm.
I'm Colombian,
Yeah,
whether they're
yeah.
my
Hmm.
complexion or your
Hmm.
complexion, people identify that way. In this country, we
Hmm.
don't do that. We identify
Nationality.
as, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm white, but like, oh, my ancestors are Irish, or I'm
Hmm.
Puerto Rican. Everyone's something else. No one identifies as like an American. So I just think that's
Hmm.
interesting when I go to these other
Hmm.
countries, how much more
Hmm.
pride that they have is like, no, I'm Peruvian, no, I'm Colombian, no, I'm South African,
Hmm.
whether they're white
Hmm.
or black. So it was
Yeah.
something that was interesting to me
Yeah. Yeah.
to see, because when I came home, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm American. People are like, no, you're from Virginia. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Virginia, but I'm American. They're like, no, you're white. And I'm like, yeah, I'm white, but I'm still, so it's interesting that people don't have that love for and I'm, like I said, nothing's perfect, but it's just interesting to me, as messed up as some of these countries I went to, they still identify as, no,
Hmm.
I'm, Brazilian, no, I'm Argentinian. So in Argentinian, they were having like this crazy thing with their government at the time. Like the government was like
Hmm.
not working right, and it was crazy when I went to Argentina. So it was a little bit
Yeah.
different.
It's called nationality. It's called
Yeah,
nationality. That's the thing, and yeah, because in those countries, a lot of those people they have that nationality, that pride, and that culture. But we just, like I said earlier, we think about the time frame and the way American was made. It's a huge mixing pot. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Of all these different people. You know what I'm saying? So when these people come together in one place, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and also if they're not treated fairly, you know what I'm saying? Then
and
a lot
that
of
could
people
be
want to like go
that
away from.
yeah, that could be a huge issue. But we have to acknowledge
Mhm.
that was extremely wrong, and we can't pretend like
Mhm.
it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'll get into that when we
Yeah.
talk
Yeah,
about
no, it's
when
real
I went
talk.
to South
Yeah.
Africa. So
Mhm. Okay.
because when I went to
Yeah,
South
yeah, yeah,
Africa,
man. And that was my thing, man. Mhm. Go ahead, go ahead.
okay, when I went to South Africa, they, like, being a young man, like, I wasn't worldly at the time, and like the internet wasn't like at my
Mhm.
fingertips, so I didn't understand a lot of things. So apartheid's happened in South Africa in the mid '90s, and I went over there in 2001,
Yep.
so it's brand new,
Mhm.
and I'm
Brand new. Yep.
very, yeah, you know me, I'm outgoing, but when I'm overseas, I try to be throttled back a little bit, because we do get stereotyped as loud
Mhm.
Americans, and that's what I am when I'm here. You know what I mean? When I'm in the
Mhm.
United States,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm a typical American. When I go overseas, I try to throttle back and chill out a little bit, because that's a stereotype we have, as being loud and obnoxious and
Mhm.
rambunctious. So when I went over there, I was so like, we were in South Africa. I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm in Africa. I can't believe it. And I'm trying to talk to people, and people are not having like white, like South African black, like they're not having any kind of like talk like that. And my man from New York City,
Mhm.
had to say, "Hey, man, you know they just went through like segregation here, apartheid." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know,"
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
it just doesn't. You just don't have that, and then everything is okay. He's like, they feel a certain way, or
Mhm,
I'm like, the country feels a certain way.
mhm,
I'm like, okay. So that was very eye opening for me to experience that on a level, not just with
mhm.
one or two people, but with several people in South Africa. So it was interesting, and I was like, wow. So, like I said, that was another eye-opening life experience that if I never left the United States, I never would have experienced or had knowledge about.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the thing, man. It's like stuff like that. We see even with me when I was in, even when me was I when I was in Richmond and I moved to London, you know, I thought that everything. I thought Richmond was in American Richmond was like the center of the world. Everything revolved around it. You know what I mean? When I went out to these different places, I would look at people like I would look at people that I would assume, you know, um, I would make assumptions that they would think a certain way because they looked a certain way. You know what I mean? And I, I talk about my book. I was like, a lot of people over there, they were like, no, we don't think like the atypical American because, we think of a certain way because of. It's talking more so about race. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
they weren't groomed a certain way like the American, like how we were about racism and all that stuff. They didn't have that stigma attached to them because they just weren't taught that. You know what I'm saying? So it took me a while. I'm gonna tell you, man, real talk. It took me a while to even connect the dots between everybody, doesn't have that certain mindset that I grew up with back home. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it threw
yeah,
me off, man. It was a culture shock. But then the more and more I talk to people and learn more about different people's culture and all these different things and listen to them, you know, they it blew it cracked it cracked my skull and just opened my mind. You know what I mean? On so many different levels. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you on that 100%. You know what I'm saying? And so you know, and the interesting thing to me is I think that if a lot of people in America, and I don't even know if this will ever happen, if we sort of, and also America, but also world history, if we had really true historical um, education about how
yeah.
things
Actual
really went
factual,
here, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
factual stuff.
Yeah, factually,
Yeah,
pre pre-American, Native American, etc., and not and also in the world history, I think that people would have a much different view and perspective on people and race and all and overall. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
the history, what they said, history is written by history is written by the whatever the case may be, the people that won. You can write down anything, be
yeah,
like, this is what it is, but you know that also is a part of like just you know it could be a part of mental what's it called mental oppression. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's that's one thing that I really wish people would do is really try to kind of find out what really happened. You know what I'm saying? And some people do, but you ain't gonna find it in the atypical. Your school, your when you go to public school, you ain't gonna find it there. You got to do your own research. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
You know,
yeah.
but but
That's that part. That, yeah,
I know, right? Or you could live your experiences through other things to put you to ask questions about that, and it comes to you because of
yeah,
the different experiences that you've had in life. You know what I mean? And here's one thing that I want to kind of talk to you about because we've had numerous conversations over the years, and you know, you got a lot of people that are still hung up in an old type of mindset. You know what I mean? You got, I mean, even politically, you got the far right, you got the far left. And like I said earlier, it's like a lot of folks don't care about any of that. They just care about being good folks, man. Could you kind
yes,
of talk about, your experiences being in surrounded by diversity and it kind of made your and how it influence your mindset just on people and race relations.
Yeah, and and that goes back to, I'm not saying you're a product of your environment, but when you're around a diverse group of people, I think you're open to listen to more than just one side. It's almost like you're taught to do
Mm-hmm.
things a certain way. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
when you're around certain people, you can have a conversation about, not an argument, a conversation. There's a difference. A conversation
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
political views. And what I've noticed is most of the time, where people in general agree more than they disagree. And where the disagreement comes up is a few small issues versus large issues. So even today, where I work with a diverse group of people, you know, political conversations come up. And I think at the end of the day, you hit the nail on the head when you said that most people just want to be good people and do what they think is right. But it's crazy how people can get caught up on identifying with one thing and identifying with another, like being super conservative or super liberal. We've lost the middle ground where you can come to a compromise
Mm-hmm.
and be more of a moderate. So, with that being said, it's good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good. It's good to have. It's good to have another opinion than someone rallying behind you saying yes, 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 yes. Because there's always a
Yeah,
different
yeah. Well,
perspective.
I think you nailed it when you yeah, I think you nailed it when you said programming. And just like I talked about my book, I was like, from my experience growing up here and the way that I've seen this life, living black in America, it's like you almost you're pretty much programmed. Like I said in the book, I said you're either a Negro or a nigger. You either they either are run into the you've been run into the jails or getting shot, killed, whatever the case. You or being force fed all this kind of craziness and going that direction, or you could take the route in which you want to be a nice businessman. You want to be a lawyer. You want to be a suit and tie. You know what I'm saying? In me saying that, it's like going back to culture, like we were saying earlier. You don't have many options for culture. You know what I'm saying? As a
No,
black
because you're
American,
caught
though,
up
you
in
have pretty much
classism.
those two options.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and not only that, you know, like you going back to what we saying programming. Just like I was saying in my book, I remember in fifth grade, I was like, I remember when they were like, first thing they learned, I was like, oh yeah, you were a slave. Black people were slaves. I'm in fifth grade, and that's like the first thing I knew about history. I'm like, what? That tore me up. I'm just like, what in the world? And everything's fine till then, and the next thing I know, I'm like, oh yeah, y'all were brought over here and all this kind of stuff, and that small portion of the story was given as opposed to the broad picture. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that, like you said earlier, is programming, man. Programming the way that you think that you can only be a certain religion. You got to be programmed to do that way. You got a it's this whole thing is about programming, man. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Matrix, right? Computer programs. It's all about programming people, man. Really to control them, if you ask me. But you
Yeah.
know, the free minds are the ones that are those are the ones that are unique. You know what I mean? The free minds. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. And
but yeah,
that
man.
that starts at an early age, questioning like, well, why is it this way or why is it that way? And then when you start researching certain
Mhm,
things, you're like, well,
mhm,
actually, it's not that way. It's a
mhm,
perception. Like I said, perception is
mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, just like if I saw you
Mhm,
in the street, there's a perception. If you saw me in the street, there's a perception. No
mhm,
matter who's, there's
mhm.
always a
Always.
perception.
Everybody's
You're always being
prejudiced.
judged. Yeah, yeah. So you're always
Yeah.
being judged, no matter what.
Mhm,
It's all perceptions. But
mhm,
yeah, it's definitely been a good thing being like I love. We talked about offline was the title of your book being biculture. I'm gonna tell you right now, anyone that knows me would say, hey, I'm bicultural because I've been heavily influenced by uh, black culture, hip hop, how I dress,
mhm,
slang
mhm,
words, uh,
mhm,
just
mhm.
different things. sports. I know you know.
Mhm.
I mean, I love Bo Jackson as a kid. I thought he was the
Mhm.
greatest thing ever. So
Mhm.
I'm just saying, like, Michael Jordan. There's Michael Jackson. I mean, there's so many
Mhm.
icons out there that, as Americans,
Mhm.
you have to look at and say these people are
Yeah.
American. They we might be a different
Mhm.
race, but that's an American. Like Michael Jordan's American, Michael Jackson's
Mhm.
American. So those things, I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, those came from our country. So I don't know, man. It's a different way of
Mhm.
looking at things than everyone looks at things. So,
Mhm.
but I was heavily influenced by
Mhm.
that stuff. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, man. As long as all you know really is this, then you really have no other options. Because even like everything you're saying, like there was such a huge, there was so much influence that Black folks had. Well, I should say, yeah, Black Americans and Native and whatever the case may be had on this on in America to even make it how it is today. We wouldn't have
yes.
no jazz. I mean, y'all could go to, you already know, you wouldn't
Well,
have
well,
so many inventions, all this stuff. So that's like, that is, regardless of what we want to say, that is the title for this place, this land, and this continent they had here was American, where all this stuff happened. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's true.
Unfortunately, like you said, without the Native Americans, we never would have survived the first winter here. Facts. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Uh, we
Yeah,
brought
man.
illness over here that they never
That
experienced before, almost like we have now, like an
mhm.
illness like we have
That's
now.
true.
So
Yeah.
without Native Americans and some assistance, we probably wouldn't be here at all. So I mean, maybe eventually, but we've
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you
always
this, man. I'm gonna tell you
as
this.
Americans, we've
Oh, go ahead. I'm
always
sorry. Go ahead.
as Americans, we've always imitated and taken other things from cultural people. I'm from the beginning of time, So
From the beginning, yeah, from the beginning of the inception of
yeah,
America. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you one thing I do here on the Polka Dot Rabbit podcast is that I get highly scholared individuals that bring factual information, that you look up information. And I'm gonna tell you something, Jesse. And I was talking to one of my guests, upcoming guests soon. We had a conversation about that. A lot of people do not even remotely come close to knowing the true story of America. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
I'm gonna have what I'm saying is that not about the stuff we're told in history school, because a lot of that stuff is it's not factual as well. A lot of stuff is
yeah,
you know like a gumbo of fact and fiction. But when it
yeah,
really comes down to what really went down here, because I'm gonna tell you something, man. There's a place in it. Right now I'm in Virginia, but there's a place in Atlanta up in the Chattahoochee River, and it's up near Sandy Springs area, right? And there's this walkway that you walk. It's right near the river, so it's like, how they have setups around rivers and stuff, looking all nice and
yeah,
stuff. But there was these plaques there, right? And when you walked in there, it was like historical plaques, and on the plaques they were talking about a people being in this area, right? And the people they were talking about, they didn't even call them Native Americans; they called them prehistoric. You know what I'm saying? On the plaque, they called them
yeah,
prehistoric. Okay,
yeah,
so so if they called them prehistoric, you know what I'm saying, and they didn't call them Native Americans, then who were they?
yeah,
My point in saying is just that we have such a small. We've all been getting we've all had that. This going back to programming, man. You know what I'm saying? We've all been programmed a certain way, um, to really keep us from. I'm gonna kind of get deep here. A lot of this program is keeping us from truly finding our true potential, not only physically but spiritually and mentally, and really truly becoming the whole being that who we can be. Because if you peep this, if you sitting down there, you know, and your family since let's say the 1700s, right, have all these access to all the great information. They got all the money in the world that they can't even think they can do anything they want. You know what I'm saying? And their whole focus is on obtaining that. that and keeping it moving forward, to make their children the best.
Yeah.
And then, and you're back here in the year 2000s, and you just realizing that you've been lied to. They've been making big time things. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking. This ain't even a race thing because I know you don't got that, and your folks don't got that type of money, and my people don't got that type of money. We talk about a whole new group of
Yeah.
individuals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That have been doing this for a while. The elite.
The
So
elite. We've talked
Bree
about
told
this
me,
years ago.
yeah, we did, yeah. Bree, Bree. Me and her were talking
Yeah.
one time, right? And she was like, she said to me, she was talking about some like people being having money and all this kind of stuff. Bree was like, shh. She's like, because Bree lived down in our neighborhood. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Down, not
Yeah.
probably about what, a mile away, right?
Yeah.
White chick. You know what I'm saying? A Caucasian chick, whatever you want to say. And she
Yeah,
was
that's
like,
fine.
yo, my parents worked two
I don't.
jobs. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, my parents worked two jobs. She said that, because across the tracks, as I like to say in Midlothian, them
Yeah.
jokers had goddamn, $300,000 houses. Some dude in my baseball team, he had a Mitsubishi 3000 GT for his 16th birthday, yo.
Money.
Did you get that? Was that your first car?
No. No.
Nah, it wasn't
No.
mine either.
No.
So it's and that's why that's another reason why I call this the polka dot rabbit, because once you go down the rabbit hole, man, and you start digging, and digging and digging, you know what I'm saying, and finding this stuff out, this reality completely changes. You still
Oh
have
yeah.
your mundane stuff that you do, but this whole thing, to dig it, the more you just learn, the more you open up as a being.
Yeah. I was just recently reading. Speaking of um how the Great Dismal Swamp, how runaway slaves used to run there for like 100 to 120 years. Archaeologists have found that they lived there in like little
Hmm.
colonies away from everything, and how they maintain
Hmm.
were, I guess, other slaves that would work were able to go in there and they're able to do trades with them, like, hey, I need this cedar or I need this, and they'd give them like clothing, or they give them nails, and they'd get the stuff
Hmm.
for them. I just watched a
Hmm.
documentary about it. I've lived right here. It's like
Hmm.
20 minutes away from me. I'm like, I never knew that. um
Yeah, yeah,
Another
yeah,
thing
yeah,
that
yeah.
was amazing to me that got
Mhm.
very little publicity around here was that there's an old Catholic church, Immaculate St. Mary's in Norfolk. It's like one of the oldest Catholic church. Well, they think that that's part of the Underground Railroad, and that's amazing. And it was like nothing was said about it. And I'm like, well, that's history right there.
Mm,
And the Great Dismal Swamp was part of
mhm.
that, helping underground. So I mean, there's lots of history here that this, if you don't look for it, you're never going to find it.
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah.
they
Yeah,
might
yeah,
say,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
yeah,
And
there was
then
an
a lot,
underground
and
railroad,
truth be
but
told,
they don't talk about how it worked, and how a lot of that was right here where I live
mhm,
at in Virginia, right in my backyard. So it's pretty
mhm.
interesting. So, but like,
Yeah,
you got to
yeah,
look
yeah.
for it.
Yeah, I'm very excited because of one of my upcoming guests. He's going to break down a lot of stuff about, you know, Native American blacks, slaves, and a lot of this all factual. He's actually a doctor. He was already on before, Dr. Hernandez, but or Dr. Gabriel, I should say, Gabriel L. But um, he goes into so much thorough detail, all dealing with facts. You know what I'm saying? That this is something that I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna keep it real. This is something I just learned about 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Real talk. And this is my history and my culture. You know what I'm saying? And my jaw dropped for a good half hour once it was explained to me, man. But I tell people all the time that you know the vast majority of stuff that we've all been told, I mean, real talk, has been misinformation for a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And unless you do all them times, you remember all the times when we starting to talk them heavy talks, you know what I'm saying? That's when I was reading them books, man. You know what I'm saying? I was reading all these different
Yeah,
books. I was just like, all I did, real talk, back in, especially when we were at Leonardo's. Um, all I was doing was reading books and smoking blunts, man. That's all I did.
yeah,
That's all I did. I go home, I'd be like this, just read, but that's all I did, man. That's all I did. You know what I'm saying? And that right there gave me the foundation to be able to grasp a lot of the things that I learned, that life threw at me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then it's amazing, man. So a chapter in my book I have talking about America the Great Divide, because just talking about the right and the left, et cetera, et cetera. Because it's interesting. I want to see how you feel about this, because I hear a lot of people feel differently about January 6th, when that stuff
Yeah.
went down at the Capitol, right?
Yeah.
I was on another interview. Well, actually, I was doing the other interview, and um, when we were talking about that, we were talking about, you know, those people had a right idea, I should say, of um, what I'm trying to put it to they had the right idea of, I would say, revolution. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that that was the right time, or we've revolutions always happen. You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
those people might have had the right idea of get some type of revolution, but they went completely the wrong way about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you're an American, when you're an American and you got pride in your country and you seeing these different things, well, how did that make you feel seeing January 6th?
Um, any kind of protest is, I'm cool with whatever you're protesting. You could be anti-church if you want to
Hmm.
protest it. Once you take things to a new level,
Hmm.
start damaging property,
Yeah,
start breaking
yeah.
stuff on the property, that's when I kind of lose respect for any kind of thing you're doing, especially on the Capitol.
Hmm.
I have a personal feeling about that. You have no business being there. If you
Hmm.
want to protest outside, that's fine.
Hmm.
Once you went into that building, um,
Hmm.
anybody that went in that building, people got hurt, man. People really got hurt doing that, and
Yeah, big time. Yeah,
um,
man.
it's a
I saw
it's
that.
a sad situation. Now, I think that if you wanted to be there from the
People
jump
died.
street, yeah, people died. And I'm gonna tell you something. They're lucky more people didn't die because they had every right to. You can't just
Hmm.
rush the cat. You can't do that. Like I said, this is
Hmm.
America, and you can't do things like that. So they're lucky.
Hmm.
Hundreds of people weren't killed. Protesters.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
my feeling on it is, hey, if you want to protest something, I'm all for it, no matter what the cause is. But once you cross the line and you want to destroy stuff, and especially go into and that's we make laws and stuff like in there. What are you doing? So yeah, I
Hmm.
can't get behind that. I was cool with protesting. Hey,
Hmm.
do your thing, but
Hmm.
once you've crossed that line, so the same would go for if you
Yeah,
were, burning a
I
city down. I'd be like, hey, this isn't cool. That's somebody's business.
mhm.
That's somebody's,
I saw a lot of
property.
yeah, yeah. I saw a lot of I saw a lot of ignorance. I saw a whole bunch of ignorance. When I say that, I hope like when I say ignorance, I mean like I saw some of the interviews and stuff that people were talking about, the people there and et cetera, and why they were doing there and stuff there. But I heard a lot of stuff that just um a lot of misinformation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of information that people were spewing to get them riled up to do it, man. And
Yeah,
it's just interesting to me because I just saw how the puppet master was just like, you know what I mean, able to influence all those people. You know what I'm saying? To doing
yeah,
stuff like that, man. It was to me it was a it was a very interesting thing. I didn't ever think I'd see that, to be honest with you. Um, but considering the mindset of those people, a lot of those people that did that. I'm not gonna say all of them because not all the people were arguing and fighting. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um, but a lot of the mindset of people that went in there was just like, some of the stuff. It was such low vibrational, like um, what's that word? Like savagery. What's that word? Like, you know what I mean? It was low vibrational, man. It was like,
yeah,
yeah, let's go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
He
I
said, "Look,
I
look at
definitely
this." Somebody said something. Look, say a lot of somebody said a lot of action that they were contradicting the words that they were saying that day.
Yeah,
Hmm.
facts. Actually, absolute
Interesting.
facts. That's my man Jason Lombard. Shout out Jason Lombard. J Lo, my man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
glad to see he jumped on here to voice that opinion. Good job, Jay. Yeah,
Hmm.
man. You can't say
Yeah,
one thing
man.
on one hand, then your actions say another thing. You just can't. You can't
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, it was a hodgepodge of fuckery to say, to least. It was because it was like a
Oh,
gumbo
absolutely.
of a whole bunch of bad, a whole bunch. It was a gumbo of a whole bunch of intentions that were had alternative motives behind it, and that was
Yeah,
obvious. You know what I'm saying? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Because
yeah.
look, but if we up there, and if we literally, if you and I were up there, we'd be like, "Yo, let's go see what's happening at that Trump joint." You'd be like, "Yeah, let's roll up there." You know what I'm saying? We sitting around, be like, "What in the hell are these people doing?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like real talk, man. Like we'd be like, "You got to dip." You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But yeah, man. I really, I wonder. I think when I wrote the title of the book, American, the Great Divide. Um, I think because not only of the ascension and the elevation of people in the day and time we're in, I think that actually, my personal opinion is people are coming together more. You know what I mean? And I think that all the stuff that we're seeing now is trying to divide people from to come together more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
I don't.
I think you've really hit it on the head again by saying that these current events have really tried to put a wedge in people's opinions. You know what I mean? Or people
Mhm,
getting closer together than farther apart.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think just going back to even we were saying about um America being a melting pot of culture and etc. It's an ultimately inevitable in which the people of all races, you know what I mean, that are here are going to start, because you know when I was in London, I was talking to a Jamaican friend of mine, but he was British. I was like, "How are you Jamaican and British?" And he told me the story about how his parents, his great grandparents, came from Jamaica after World War II, after they blew it up, to come there and rebuild it. They were like British people opened up their whole borders. It was like, come here, you get citizenship, help us build. They came together. Of course, they were rocky and stuff, but truth be told is, and this is something I learned too, because you and I both, we live in a rich, we didn't see much interracial relationships and all that stuff. That was like, we ain't see none of that. We didn't even know
Yeah,
about gays and stuff. We didn't, we didn't see that stuff.
yeah.
So
I didn't see that until it wasn't until I joined the Navy that I started seeing stuff like that. I was like, what? Oh, okay.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, 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 yeah. So what happened was when I was over there and I got told that story, um, I started to put two and two together. You know what I'm saying? About you always see these biracial children and stuff, and at that time you would have had generations of biracial people because they've been mixing together since the '70s. It
Yeah.
wasn't like that in America. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm
I
saying? So
I
their
had
race
I had
issue
one
isn't
friend that
like
was
race
mixed,
issues
and I
here.
used to love that what he said. He would because this is before like either listen to heavy metal or you listen to hip hop. You didn't listen to both. And my man was like, my man Eric Casher. He was always like, yeah, I like it that I can listen to heavy metal and I can listen to hip hop. And I was like, oh man, that's so cool. He was only one person I knew that was kind of like mixed like that. That I knew like I was cool with him. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah,
by
yeah,
this
yeah,
point in
yeah. Me
time
neither.
as a
I didn't.
country I thought this by this point in time as a country we'd be more multicultural families and stuff like that.
Mhm,
I have
mhm,
two children. I was married before to a Dominican lady, but my daughter she looks like me. So she what does she identify as? She identifies as white. My son Sean is more darker complected. He looks more like his mother. He identifies with being, Dominican. That's what he tells people. What are you? I'm Dominican. So it's understandable, but I'm
mhm,
surprised by this point in time, culturally, that we're not more like you're talking about, mixed up, more multicultural. as a society. But it's coming, like I said, it's coming. The
Nah,
more we're
it's
around each
here,
other, the
bro.
more we're gonna.
And yeah, yeah. No, it's here, and it's already here. And the numbers show it. You know what I'm saying? The numbers show it that it's here, but it's just a matter of like now. We give you a perfect example, right? And you might notice this, or you might not notice it. Whenever you watch, commercials now, just on TV, a lot of times you'll see a black dude and a white kid with mixed children. You know what I'm saying? You'll see, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Or a Indian person. So because America's changing, you know what I mean. The people that are trying to make this money, you know what I'm saying? They got to change too. And also, I
Yeah,
think that ultimately, that's a whole different. It's a whole different. It's a whole different story behind this. But I also think there's agenda behind that. But that's a whole different. That's a whole different podcast. But yeah, man, it's here. But my thing is, and it's always going to be, for the people that get it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
The people ultimately, when we're here living here in this existence, in this third dimension, this time and day, America, I don't care what country, whatever you call yourself, because yeah, we can all call ourselves Americans, but we were, you know, our being, our true essence is something way more than just a name that was given.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And ultimately, that's what it really comes down to. Us as beings, conscious beings, elevating and getting close to source. You know what I mean? Because reality is, a lot of this stuff is really mundane. You know what I mean? It's all like it's if you really truly spiritual, you know what I'm saying, and trying to really find yourself and get the source, you don't got no time to worry about no politics, no racism.
yeah,
David Icke was on a show a little while ago, and he he said that he was saying that when you look at somebody, all they have in their being, their avatar, all it is a spacesuit. And he says, how ignorant can you be to look at somebody just because they have a different spacesuit than you? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's we we gotta keep moving forward, man. We gotta keep on moving forward, man. We gotta get the
yeah.
source,
And
man.
and
You know
it's
what I'm
gonna
saying?
take
We
more
gotta
conversations like the one we're having for people to be like, oh, this is cool, this is okay.
exactly
Yeah,
correct.
it's okay. It is okay.
Hmm.
It's okay to not agree with
Yeah.
your mom and dad about political views. It's okay to look at your grandfather and say, you're
Yeah, yeah,
dead
yeah,
ass
yeah.
wrong with what you're saying. You're dead ass wrong. So it's okay to do that. You're American. You can
Yeah,
have your
yeah,
own
yeah, yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great thing because in other countries, like we talked about
Hmm.
traveling abroad, sometimes you can't have another
Hmm.
opinion. In certain
Yeah.
countries in the Middle East,
Hmm.
if you're the wrong type, if you're Sunni or Shiite, same religion, look the same, little different belief, they will kill each
Hmm.
other. You know what I mean? So there's always going to
Yeah,
be a
yeah, yeah,
little
yeah.
bit
Oh
of
yeah.
a
Oh yeah.
divide, but in this country, it's okay to have a different
Hmm.
opinion as long as you can respect someone for saying, okay, cool, I can understand what you're saying. I don't agree, but I still respect what you're saying. That's what the problem we're having now in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
country,
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
people don't respect
Hmm.
a difference of opinion. Like if you don't
Hmm.
think like they think, you're
Yeah.
wrong. And it's like that's not how this works at all. That's not how this works. It's
Yeah.
okay to have different
Yeah. Yeah.
opinions,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because when
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, you're gonna put your
Hmm.
pants on the same way I put my pants on, you know what I mean? So you can
Hmm.
breathe the
Yeah,
same air
that's
I
true.
breathe.
That yeah,
It's all good.
and yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm happy you said that about um having these conversations because like a lot of people a lot of people from a lot of people might not even oh Lord, ain't this the truth? Your boy chimed in again.
Yeah.
He said media
Jason, he's a
benefits
good
from
dude, man.
creating discourse. Man, you ain't ever lied, Jason. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
look at that stuff, man. My wife and I, we literally call we call TV. I'll say to her, "You want to watch some lies today?" That's what
Yeah.
we call the news. We don't even say watch the news. We call it the lies. He's like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
want to watch the lies? Yeah, let's watch the lies. You want to watch lies today? Nah, I ain't in the mood to see no lies." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But but yeah, man, that's an actual fact right there, boy. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, that's my thing. And my thing is that I've had this experience, quote unquote, being bicultural, in which I can converse with you. I can converse with somebody that's, you know, in my experience, my travel, I'm at the point now in which I can almost talk to anybody and almost kind of relate, man. You know what I'm saying? And but
that's a
definitely
good thing,
respect their
man.
opinion.
Yeah,
But my thing is, I just come from more of a when it comes to real life situations and historical facts. I just like to be deal with more scholarship instead of you say, "Oh, this happens right there," because just like we had some small brief conversations about religion. In our conversation, you learn a couple little things you might not have knew before, just a small amount, but you know what I mean. But the more you dig deeper, you know what I'm saying, the more you could see learn more about your religion that you're a part of, its origins, and cetera, et cetera. So that's one of my things, man. It's just we just gotta get connected inside here, go to source, and be the best people we can. And I'm always gonna think that way because I met people like you throughout my life. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna think because I have people that that look just like you that treated me like the worst thing you could even imagine.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Straight up. But
yeah, I remember some of that stuff. I remember some of that stuff, and I didn't understand it. It
hmm
didn't make sense to me
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
my thinking wasn't like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We need
hmm
a little bit
You
more
know what
of
I'm saying? And but the thing is,
open mindedness instead of closed mindedness. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going that way. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Because the day and time that we're in, you know, astrologically, somebody's put in defund the police. They must have looked at it earlier. But anyway, we're in a day and time in which all of that stuff, all of that what's the word? All of the programming, all of this misinformation, all this stuff, it's got to go away. We got to get back to why we're really here, and that is being the best people we can and elevate and get the source, man. That's where we need to focus on. Bump all this rest of this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a
yeah,
distraction.
yeah. And I
You know
was
what I'm
listening to one of
saying?
your podcasts before, and it's just it's like I said, it's not an argument, not a debate. But one thing I do like about sports teams is that it's something everyone can rally
Mm-hmm.
behind. Like I see you got an Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
Braves hat on, so
I agree.
yeah, everyone can rally
Mm-hmm.
behind that. That's a common ground. That's a good starting
Mm-hmm.
point
I
to
agree.
build that bond of like, oh, hey man, this guy's not that bad, or hey, this guy's not that ignorant, So, um, it's like I said, it's perception. So I kind of like sports for the reason of one, I can escape uh, that someone else got shot and shouldn't have been shot, and I can escape that
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah, yeah.
political party did that, or you know what I mean. So when it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to it, I just hope that
No,
we're
I
able to
agree.
help each other when
Mhm.
in a time of need, like you said, come together and be able to help each other. But I think you're doing a great job with that, man. Talking about
Music and sports.
oh yeah, music, most definitely music, man. Because
Music and sports, man. Music and sports are um my two things in which for me specifically really opened my eyes to realize that there's a lot more behind this whole race and separation thing and programming and etc. Man, it's you got some powerful people that are trying to keep a lot of people distracted, but that is what it is, man. What I'm saying? I'm sure I'll be talking about that in the future as well. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, music, like your boy just said, music, you know what I'm saying? Music, even for us, I mean, even with independent, and we actually, we got a group chat we got a group chats with independent, the whole crew, everybody,
Indie
all
Nation.
the members. They talk about that the Indie Nation. They talk about we're gonna have podcast, a reunion podcast on here.
That's what's
I
up.
know that's gonna be funny, man. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But but yeah, man, music, man, and sports both change my life in so many ways when it came to coming together, man. It did. I ain't hating on sports. I just don't got time for it no more. You know what I'm
Uh,
saying? It's
and
just
I'm
like
with you.
literally.
And I'm just
I don't.
saying, I'm just
No,
saying, it's a good escape, man. It's a good escape. Music,
I
sports,
agree.
is a
I
good
agree. I
escape
agree.
from the the negativity a lot of times. Because when you turn on the news, it's not about,
Yeah, I agree.
your neighbor helped the old lady down the street and she's alive because he helped her. It's some BS. You know what I mean? It's not like a heartfelt something.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
four people died
Hmm.
and this and
Man, I was happy the Braves won the World Series, man, because daggone, I
I'm gonna
remember
be honest with you. I was
watching them
too.
the
Growing
year
up in
before.
Richmond, being like growing up with the
Yeah,
Richmond
yeah,
Braves.
yeah, Richmond Braves.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Wilder
You know
messed
what I'm
that up
saying?
for
I
us.
was
You know that,
happy the
right?
Braves won. Yeah, yeah,
Mayor
yeah.
Wilder, not
I
Governor
wouldn't doubt
Wilder.
it,
Mayor
man. I don't
Wilder.
know the story, but Mayor Wilder. Man, somebody, look. Um, I I'm sure somebody paid him. His whatever happened and they left. I'm sure his pockets got real packed, real nice for any deal that was made on that end. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Real talk, man.
He
That's
tried to come
for
back on it. He tried to say, "Okay,
you can
we'll
only.
do something new." They said, "Nope, we're off to Gwinnett, Georgia. We're out. Peace." I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
"Man,
yeah, 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 I know. I'm shoot. I mean, growing up, it was in Richmond. You had WGN for the Cubs. You had TBS, the Braves, and you had HTS, Home Team Sports for the Orioles. That's what
for
we all
Orioles,
had
yeah,
sports
yeah."
wise, baseball wise. We had that's all we had growing up, man. But yeah, man. I don't know what you got going on, man, in life, man. But anything, you got anything? I know you doing the putting out fires. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
And all that good
I'm
stuff.
on
Anything you want to talk
I'm on the
about?
grind in the fire department. Jay worked with me. Jay's a good friend of mine. We worked together for years. We came up together. Jay's a good dude. Yeah, man, I'm just doing the fire department thing. He could chime in and tell you I don't have any side projects. I put a lot of energy and time into my family, into work. Just a straightforward, like blue collar type guy, man. Like I'm covered in tattoos. I go to work every day. I put a uniform on. I come home. I try to take care of my family, just like most people try to do, you know.
Mhm.
And I try to be a good dude, which is hard for me sometimes because
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes I'm
yeah,
not a
yeah,
good
yeah,
dude.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Some
Well,
things never change. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
Zoe?
yeah,
Some
yeah,
things
yeah.
never change, man. You can take the boy out of Richmond. You can't take the Richmond
Oh
out the
Lord,
boy.
have mercy, boy. Ooh, I just thought about three separate incidents I seen us be around, man. I'm just looking at you right now. It took me back to memory lane, man. I was just like, oh Lord, what the hell were we doing back then? But bro, man, that's it on my end, man. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you,
Hey,
man. You know what I'm saying?
on a joking note, tell Mark England I want to do a pay per view with him.
Mhm.
Me and him. 3 rounds, 5-minute rounds. Let's go. I get my head kicked in. That's what I'm
Oh
talking about.
man, now
Everyone else is getting paid off that. Why
now,
can't me and
Jesse.
Mark England get
I am
paid
a
off it?
hey. I am a promoter now.
I'm
So
just
I
messing,
am a
man. I ain't getting
promoter.
beat
You know
up.
what I'm saying?
I ain't getting beat
No,
up.
man,
I
you
ain't
can
getting my
win,
feelings.
man.
No, I ain't getting my feelings hurt, man.
That's
That's a good
hilarious.
laugh, though. It's a good laugh. See,
I
relax.
don't think either y'all. I don't think either y'all in shape right now for that, but
I am, though. I'm
not you got the win.
I
You
don't
got the
know,
win
man. I
for it.
think
That's this
truthfully,
ain't this. You got the win.
I think he got the better of me one time in the parking lot at Midlothian one time, man. I think it was him
Really?
when I was a
Man,
young
hey
man. You know what
man,
I mean?
you better get the. Hey, you trying to go 3 rounds with a
I'm
ex
just joking,
a
man. It's
ex
all a
look an
joke.
ex MMA. Oh no, I know you are. I know you are. I'm just
It's
saying,
just a
but
joke, man. Yeah,
yeah, win wise, man, you gotta get that wind up. Just like I gotta get my wind up, man. But
yeah. I hear you, bro.
cause man, real talk, I was sick, man. One of them heebie-jeebies had me and the whole crew, man. We were all hemmed up for like man, I was only really down for 3 days because as soon as I felt sick, I started hitting me all my herbs and spices and remedies and stuff. So I was
Are
only
you
down
talking
for
about the
three
C
days,
word?
but you know,
You talking about the C word?
yeah, I'm talking about the heebie-jeebies. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it was one of them. It was
Yeah.
either he was GB 1, 2, or 3. How about that?
Yeah.
But
Don't say that. Don't say it out
so
loud. They'll come get you.
yeah. I know. They can come knocking on the door.
Yeah.
The Gestapo. But yeah, man. But that's
That's
it, bro,
another
man.
divide.
You know
Look,
what I'm saying?
vaccinated versus unvaccinated. That's another whole different
There you
divide.
go. That's another divide.
People
Oh yeah.
get in their feelings about it. You know what I mean? And if
Yeah,
you know what's funny? When I was in the Navy,
that's
I was
true.
giving
That's a big thing.
when I was in the Navy, I was giving anthrax shots. I was like, I
Say
don't
it
want
again.
these. I was given anthrax, a series of anthrax shots. Because remember, anthrax was a big thing, like right around 9/11, anthrax. So
Yeah.
they injected
Hmm.
me with anthrax to say,
Hmm.
hey, you'll have. I said, I don't want y'all to do this. No, thank you. They're like, not only will we kick you out of the Navy, we'll give you a dishonorable discharge. It's like having a felony. That's what they told me. As a young man, that's
God
what they told me. Now think about.
damn.
Now think about this. Not only are we gonna kick you out, but having a dishonorable discharge is like having a felony. So I feel a certain way about, and I work for the government, so I was big boyed into doing it again. You know what I mean? So, but I was programmed into doing it again. I was programmed.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm gonna end it like this, man. My goal with this podcast is to bring like minds together. You know what I'm saying? And just build, man. Build. That's it, man. That's it. Build. Connect. Build. Elevate. Whatever I can do to help people out, man. I'm here for it. But that's really it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like all the people I see people looking at, man, say, I'm gonna put a lot of time and energy in this. And my cash app run across the bottom, all that good stuff. So definitely hit me up, support me, or with messages, positivity, all that good stuff, man. Because I'm gonna be doing this for y'all, real talk. You know what I'm saying? And but that's really it on my end, man. Follow the polka dot rabbit. You know what
Hey,
I'm
is there any
saying?
people that have any questions for
It'll
you,
get you there.
my brother Zoe? Anyone out there got questions for Zoe?
I don't know. I don't see. I don't
Nobody's
see
there,
none. This
probably.
is or Jesse, but yeah, no, there's a couple of folks here. They've been going in and out, but you know what I'm saying. I literally just really started this. I started this past couple like 2 weeks, so my other podcast was more popular, but I'm going in this direction now. So people are
Yeah,
filtering over,
yeah. I
slowly,
watched. Hey, man.
but I'm gonna be in there for the.
I picked up some stuff from some of the stuff. I was like, oh man, that's cool. So you had some for me to be on here after
Yeah,
following some of the other guests. I'm like, oh man, I got an associate's at TCC in fire science. That's about it, fellas. I'm not a scholar like that, man. I appreciate you having me on here, though. Old knucklehead from the block.
Yeah. Hey, man, man, I'm gonna keep it. I think Mike from BCS he gonna be on here.
Oh, Mike,
Um,
yeah,
I
he's a
got a bunch
smart
of
guy,
people,
man.
man.
Mike's a good
Yeah.
intellectual type dude, man. He's a real
It's gonna be
good
good talking to
intellectual
him.
type dude.
Yeah. I'm gonna have fun talking to him. There's a couple other cats that from the old school that what I'm saying that's gonna be on here that already reached to him, man. But that's it, man. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? That's it, bro. I'm gonna tell everybody, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep on, putting out these nice conversations with dope people, and man, we're gonna go from here.
Yeah, man.
My dog just walked in. She said, my dog just walked in. She telling me to wrap it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, listen, man.
She's walking in like wrap it up, man. It's
Hey,
time to
listen.
go.
Thanks for having Joe. Yo, I appreciate you having me on, man. Thanks a lot. It's been good to see you.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're healthy. I'm glad your family's healthy. You're blessed. Thanks again for having me on.
Hey, man, ain't number love on this end, bro. We'll talk, man, and do your thing.
Yeah.
And tell your family I said what's up, man.
Oh,
I can't even tell the last time I had to be when I saw your wife, man. She had to be in high school easily. You know what I'm
oh yeah,
saying?
that was
So
years ago.
tell
30
your
years ago.
family I said what's up. Yeah,
Yeah.
30 years
I
ago,
appreciate
man.
it.
30 years
Stay
ago.
healthy, my guy.
All right, man. All right,
All
man.
right, bro.
Be good. Peace.